1997. What a year to be a senior in high school. What a year to go to Henry Clay High School. And what a year to be a state wrestling champion. In my opinion, 1997 is one of the most competitive and one of my favorite years to watch just recreationally. Our guest here today was a state champion in 1997. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
I'm Dan Carman.
And we're here at the Dan Carman Law Office in downtown Lexington, right off Church Street, correct?
That's right. And you know, by the way, Alex, if you're sitting in this conference room, you know, most people who are sitting here are falsely, of course, accused of a crime. So you're not here for that purpose.
Yeah,
right?
I'm definitely not.
Okay,
But
all right, just making sure.
I think I could present a good case to a jury to convict our defendant of being a state champion in 1997, Your Honor. We have the evidence. We have the video evidence. I think that we'll return a unanimous verdict of guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of being a state champion. So, Dan, man, talk to us. Henry Clay's known for one of the premier wrestling schools here in Lexington. How do you get started in wrestling? What gets you into it?
So there I was in the 8th grade, and not a particularly tall young man. Competitive basketball probably wasn't in my future, and competitive football for that matter. And so my dad, Bill Carman, who loves wrestling as much as anybody around here, he had an intern at his office. At the time he worked for the city, and he had an intern who was on the wrestling team in Henry Clay. And at the time I was at Morton Middle School, and I was going to be going to Henry Clay High School, and he got to talking to his intern, and I got linked up with that young man whose name was Darren, and started kind of showing up for practices with Coach Powell and Coach Headley.
Mm-hmm.
Soon thereafter, got the chicken pox, back when people got the chicken pox.
Yep.
And in retrospect, I guess I was glad to have it and get it out of the way. But because of those chicken pox, you know, the refs, they took one look at me and said, yeah, no competition for you today, young man. So that curtailed a lot of my competitive opportunities my first year, which would have been kind of the JV of JV anyways back in that year. But so that's kind of how I got started and took to it, and you know, just kind of gradually got more serious about it.
Hey, man, and of course, as always, we got your bracket, we got your state tournament run, so let's go through it real quick. 1995, 112 pounds, only being 2 years into the sport. It's kind of, because back then, even when I wrestled, we had the districts, regions, and then state. Now we have just regions and then state, but you made it 1995, 112 pounds, and back then it was at Atherton, the last year at Atherton's gym.
I remember, yeah.
And, you know, representing Jack Harlow there. You make it to the state tournament. We have an old saying in wrestling, you either win or you learn. 95 was a learning year.
Wasn't my last learning year either, but yes.
Well,
correct.
And I was going to say, man, you went from, you know, being in kindergarten to almost walking across the stage to get your Juris Doctorate, because in 96, 112 pounds, you come in second place. You make it to the finals. You're wrestling a good friend of the channel, whose video is on the channel, Sean Smith of Christian County. Sean wins a 5-4 decision on you, and this is the first year at the dungeon, under the lights, the main mat. So did the nerves kind of get you? Was Sean just a little bit head and shoulders?
He was, as I recall, he was probably a year or two ahead of me, as I recall. He might have been a senior or a junior.
He was a senior that year.
And I'm not sure that I was even expected myself to get to the state finals that year, but made it. We wrestled him, and as I recall, and of course I could go back and watch that great video you did with him, but I remember I couldn't finish a single leg with about 10 seconds left or something like that, and so lost the match. Probably deserved to lose it because I couldn't finish it, and the takedown. And you know, it was it's funny looking back. I remember that better than I do winning it the following year, because I just remember getting that close and sort of that time and that stage of your youth, how painful that was to not win.
Of course, there's no shame in losing to Sean. Sean was in the finals 3 times, his senior, junior, and sophomore year. 94, he got beat by Jason Talbot.
Who, by the way, Jason Talbot was probably, Jason, if you're watching this, wherever you are, probably being a physician somewhere out west. But if you're watching this, Dr. Talbot, you're probably one of, if not the toughest competitors I ever wrestled in high school. He was incredible.
And all I got to say about seeing Jason Talbot, stay tuned.
All right.
We've been talking to Jason, and Dr. Talbot, I don't want to say it wrong, Dr. Talbot, PhD, MD, Dr. Talbot. We're going to be doing his 94 and 96 is coming up soon, so I'm excited to get him. He's been a very highly requested individual. But Sean got beat by Jason, 94, 95, and 96. Sean won it. So, I mean, you're wrestling a 3-time finalist. You come up 1 point short. That's a heck of a showing. I mean, it truly is. But, man, 97's your year, and let's talk about it real quick. In doing the research, I think your video number 317, I think that's 317, 316. Some of the names that we've come across in doing the bracket research, I still think today the best name we've come across is Matt Shotwell from Connor. 2-time state champion. Matt's Dr. Shotwell, he's a cardiologist. Hank Penner, you might remember Hank from Hopkinsville.
West,
Then this guy you wrestled, Gary Speed. What a last name.
That's a good one.
I love that. Gary Speed from Western out of Louisville. You win that by fall in 47 seconds. You get to the quarters. You're wrestling Jason Elliott out of Simon Kenton. And goes on to get, you win a 10-4 decision. You get to the semis. You're wrestling Sean Cecil from Caldwell County. You win that by a 5-1 decision. Sean goes on to get 3rd place. Then in the finals, you're wrestling Bo Ranshaw from Covington Scott. Now, had you wrestled Bo prior to this?
I don't recall ever wrestling him in official competition.
Okay.
Now, I was familiar with Bo because I had seen him at wrestling camps. And I remember we went to one, I can't recall which camp it was. I went to several in high school, but I remember, a lot of times you'll stay at university dorms, and I remember he stayed around the corner from me in a dorm, and he was, I remember Ranshaw, he's pretty scrappy.
Yeah, and maybe not so much now, and that's not a knock to the Covington Scott program. They've had a lot of coaching turnover. But you go back and you look at, like, your Dylan Bells, some of the guys from Covington Scott, man, they had, back in the 90s, man, especially the late 90s, they had some dudes. I think 98, they come in second as a team overall. So, man, they had some really, really good wrestlers. But, as always, we have your video, we have the face-off, the match, medal ceremony, and, of course, we're going to get to it. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about Henry Clay's legacy. As of this filming, this is June 2024, Henry Clay has 21 state champions so far. We've met with Tim Lawson, 1994, Tony Condi, 1992, and some guy, they say he's pretty weak, some guy named Dominic Black. Dominic, don't be calling me. I know as soon as you see this, you're going. My phone's going to ring in about 3 seconds whenever he sees this. You're not weak. I'm just kidding. Don't come and tech for me. But, man, the Henry Clay, there's some of the names here, your Waltermans, your Great Houses, Stamanis, Dominic, Chris Birch, Riley, of course, Tony and Tim, David Moore. I think we might be pulling Dave out of the clouds, maybe.
You got to pull Dave out of the clouds. He's kind of a rare bird to catch, but we'll see what we can do.
I think I wrestled his brother, Nathan. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, Nathan.
Yeah, he was 112 my freshman year. Of course, he killed me. He wasn't even close. But I wrestled him a couple times here, Tate's Creek Tournament, Henry Clay, and then we wrestled at Regions as well. Of course, you and your brother, 97, 98 respectively. Luke, 2-time state champion, Luke Mexiker. Matt Czar, 3-timer. We're going to be getting with Matt as well. It's Dr. Czar. To me, doctor's going on. What are we doing today? We've got Joe Whalen and then Mike Whalen, so 21 total. I've got 17 of the Henry Clay State Champions on video, and I would love to get with everybody that I can. Surprisingly, you're our 4th Henry Clay Blue Devil on the channel. And, of course, we got to count Coach Headley, long time, and his his videos on the channel, which we have one match of him wrestling. I think it was at the Bluegrass Games in '92. I think he was my age. He was 39 whenever he wrestled that.
Yeah, he wrestled. I don't know if there's any video footage of that, but he wrestled. He wrestled Tom Seibel, who was at Tate's Creek, big burly-chested guy in the Bluegrass State Games, and of course Coach Headley was about 39, 40 years old at the time, and Seibel was about 19 or something. Yeah. But anyways, that was fun to watch. Yeah.
I think the match that we have is the finals match from Bluegrass State Games, and something too about this '97 year. Just some of the names that we've met with already: Josh Priest from Sheldon Clark, Chris Dunn, 3-timer from Woodford County, Jeremy Rhodes, 2-timer, Joe Carr, 4-timer, Ian Horn, 3-timer, Justin Sainer from Campbell County, and of course Livingston and his backflip in '97. Mm-hmm. So man, just a great up and down the roster from lightweights to heavyweights. Just like I said in the opening, just a great year. I mean, it really was a great year of wrestling, and we would be remiss if we didn't talk about your brother, Drew. 1996, 103 pounds. He makes it. Of course, doesn't medal, but he gets to watch you in the finals. Hey, if Big Brother can do it, I can do it, right?
Well, that's how brothers are. Brothers are sometimes. They take what you do and then they end up doing it better.
That's what that's about every video we've done with brothers. Yeah. Never or dads especially. Never let dad be able to outdo you, no matter what it is. Now in '97. He was 103 pounds. I would have to imagine you guys were practice partners in the room, at home, in the car, wherever you guys were together. You were probably wrestling, right?
We'd mess around quite a bit.
I guarantee it, man. And that's something, like with talk about Ian and Joe, Chris Dunn. You're only really going to be as good as your practice partner. You might come in a world beater, but if you don't have somebody good that's going to push you throughout the season and even the off season, you're going to see yourself go down. So having a good practice partner, I mean, you can just look at the results of having a great room, a great practice partner. But 97, 103 pounds, he runs into Dave Kopfleisch from St. Xavier. Mm-hmm. Dave wins a 12-4 decision, and which on your video I didn't leave it in. It's just your face off. But watching, did you go backstage and warm up like behind the head score table? Did you stay out and watch your brother's match, or how'd that go for you?
I think I kept an eye on it.
Okay.
But I was also trying to get my head right.
That's what I was.
But I'm pretty sure I kept an eye on it. I remember that match, and I kept an eye on it. I was probably watching that with one eye, and with the other kind of.
I believe it. And whenever you guys see if you never got to go to the dungeon, there was 4 mats set up, and you're going to see it. The seats literally come right down onto the floor. 1 mat there in the middle, and there was a practice mat that set in behind. As you see the video here, it's going to be to the right, like where the podium and all that. No, wait a second. That's not correct. It's going to be to the left. It's going to be to the left over here when you guys watch it. There was a mat back there. You go back there, warm up, all that kind of stuff. So I can see, maybe if the match isn't going so well, go back, maybe not. All right, this is, I can't let this affect my match.
Right.
But in '98, though, 112 pounds, your brother beats Anthony Smith by an 8-4 decision out of Christian County. Anthony, good friend of the channel. Anthony was in the finals twice, so your brother beat a really good wrestler. Anthony lost to Isaac Knable in the semis in '99. So Anthony was on my list of one of the best wrestlers in Kentucky to not win a state championship. So that I'll tell you what your brother done there. And of course, 99, 125 pounds, your brother comes in 3rd place. So man, just a lot of history with Henry Clay, a lot of history with you and your brother, both state champions. So I love asking everybody this question. Have you watched your match video in a long time? Has it been a few days? Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I've ever seen it. If I have, I don't remember. It's been a real. I don't recall watching it. I don't recall what it looks like. I'm excited to watch it.
And it's a good match. It really is. I don't want to give too much away as far as the score or however it goes. But you and your brother both are in the finals. This is the era before cell phones and instant messaging. Did you guys have to go to pay phones and call family? Hey, we're both in the finals. What get down here, because Lexington to Frankfurt's 30 minutes maybe in traffic.
Pretty not a far drive. We had, I suspect my very supportive parents were both there, and I'm sure they They got on the pay phones and found phones at restaurants and so forth, and called everybody to come on over and watch the Carman boys. I remember we also had several friends from classmates from school who weren't involved with wrestling, just very supportive. So we had a good cheering section. It was good.
I get that, and like I said, the trip from Lexington to Frankfort, people commute that 2 or 3 times a day for whatever, mail carriers or whatever. Did you? I don't think, I could be mistaken about this. I know certain sports are, like football's mandated to stay in like a hotel, baseball, basketball. Were you guys back then mandated to stay in Frankfort? Could you commute back and forth, like after the meet, go home, sleep in your own bed, drive back the next day?
We could go home.
Okay.
At that time, that year, we could go home. First of all, as the tournament went on, it would have been a smaller group who had advanced, and it was reasonably close. So it was we got to go home, sleep in our own bed. I think I did sleep in my own bed.
Okay, well, like we talked about Atherton earlier, Atherton had the state tournament from 74 to 95.
That one, we may have stayed overnight.
Well, because there's been so many stories that we've done, like your Tendai Cherasikas, other people, that after they won their semifinals, they went home. If you live in the city of Louisville, it's easy to go home, take a shower, eat, sleep in your own bed, take a nap wherever, then come back right before the finals start. There's so many people that have said that. And even at the Dungeon, maybe a school that wasn't close, they had like a hotel room there in that big tower.
Yeah.
What was that called? The Capital City Plaza.
Is that the one they imploded?
Yes, that's it.
I watched
like
that, yeah.
38 stories, or like the tallest building. I think I can see the Fifth Third Bank tower from here, but it was like one of the tallest buildings in Kentucky. And they would go over after the semifinals, go back to the room, sleep, do whatever. A lot of teams would pay an extra night so just they could have that extra if they did have somebody in the finals. So it was kind of, I love hearing the stories about coming home, because there's a lot to be said for staying in your own house. You know what I mean? Just getting up, driving however long, instead of a weird shower, weird bed.
Realizing you forgot your toothbrush.
Exactly.
Get out of your routine, and
And there's a lot to be said for having a routine like that. You know what I mean? So I think we've covered the groundwork, Your Honor. We've laid enough evidence now. Now we're going to go to the video. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we present to you exhibit. Would this be 1A?
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A. So you guys are seeing what we're seeing. The second year at the Dungeon, the main mat. Again, if you didn't get to experience a state tournament at the Dungeon, you're new to the sport, maybe your school's come along, or you're just new to the game, the Dungeon was the best atmosphere ever, wasn't it?
It was great.
I mean,
it was great.
If you could script a venue for a state wrestling finals, it would be, which it no longer exists. It's, I think, now just a big open grass field, but the Dungeon was awesome. We outgrew it. We did, moving to the 32-man brackets, only having 4 mats. We needed to change, but when it was there, when it was magical with the just the 16-man brackets, 2 days, there's not another state tournament, not just in wrestling. We're right down the street from Up Arena, Sweet 16. Any other sport, any other state, the Dungeon, under the light, state finals was absolute magic. And you got to live it, man. So we're going to get our computer set. Let's go back to a cold February night in 1997. Let's do it. Of course, you guys are standing there bouncing around. Mm-hmm. And here comes the lights down. It was awesome, guys. I'm telling you. I left this part in just because how awesome it is.
Yeah. That was a cool spot to have a tournament.
Oh, my gosh. And you can see back in the back, they got the podium lit up. Got the jock jams pumping. Who didn't have jock jams?
That's right. That's
you know what I mean?
That's how it was, yeah.
And some of the great wrestlers, like we talked about earlier. And got to get the obligatory photo. You run off the mats, man, you're ready.
Yeah.
Now, when we start, you're going to have on the blue singlet with the gold stripe.
Mhm. That was our tournament,
Okay.
championship singlet.
You can hear
Ooh.
people yelling for you
Comes
already.
comes
Right out of the
with a
gate,
shot.
man. He's coming for you.
That was a shot. He was a little taller than I was, but most people are.
Now, from neutral here, you kind of said saw him in practice or tournaments, or camps or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Did you kind of know what he was what his game plan was? What was your game plan here?
Well, I knew he was kind of fast and kind of scrappy. Figured I'd kind of go out and see what he gave me.
Okay. Now he must know something about you, because that's the third or fourth time he has dove in like that. But you've been able to defend. You got a pretty good whizzer going on there.
Whizzer there. Oh, let's see.
There he is. Finish.
I get
Nope,
one?
not yet. I don't think.
Sure.
I think right there when you hooked his leg, I think they gave it to you.
Surely they'll give me something here soon.
That should be 2.
I can
3 now. It's 3 now.
I can see Coach. I can just imagine Coach Headley jumping up, like give
Yeah.
him the 2, give him the 2.
And he still, believe me, he still does it to this
I
day.
believe it. I believe it.
All right, so he's holding on to that leg. It's like you're trying to pull that arm across for like a butcher or bundle or barbed wire, whatever you guys call it. I'm not saying that panic mode isn't the right, but you're kind of stalled here. Are we just trying to work for anything? Or?
Yeah, I think at that point I was just trying to.
There you go. See, let's go of it.
Well, probably should have got around behind him there. That gave him 1.
Yep, get your escape. We're neutral.
All right.
Go back to the center. And for those, like I said earlier, if you wasn't there, the only thing you could see in that whole gym or the whole arena was just the mat.
Just that match, yeah.
And do you remember like hearing the crowd? Do you remember the noise?
I do.
Okay. All right, so that's the end of the period. It's tied, or you're up, 2-1.
Down.
You look over at your corner and take down. Was that?
Yeah, I was going to take down. I could, back in those days, I could usually get out.
Okay.
I couldn't do everything, but I could stand up pretty well. Get out, typically.
Now he's going to throw a boot in on you.
Oh, yep.
And he's going to throw in, I believe, tries to get in a second boot right there, but I don't
Yeah.
think you get it just yet. There you go. He got it in. Leg riding really hadn't hit the masses yet. Were you used to?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had known that I could be ridden, but wait a minute, he got a little high there.
Yep.
He's a little high. He's just going to try to turn me
Mm-hmm.
or wear me out.
There you go. You get your hips free.
See if I can get out. Whoa. Ooh. Bit of a scramble
And
there.
whenever you throw up a 1, like, did I get an escape right there? I'm on my back. Did I get an escape? A for effort.
That's right, A for effort.
As when I was cutting this down, I noticed that being the referee, I was like, did he really just throw up a 1? Don't be trying that, guys, when you see this.
Yeah, Branshaw was a pretty tough kid that year, pretty scrappy. He had some length on me, and I remember him being pretty fast and pretty strong.
Now, did you guys have to weigh in both days in '97? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay,
To be honest with you.
because we've heard conflicting reports of like certain years there was only 1 day weigh-in,
Yeah.
certain years there was 2 days, and we're just trying to get it, lined out.
Watching this match, I can tell you, this match was going to come down to whoever didn't make stupid mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
whoever didn't make, because he was pretty strong, he was pretty fast, and
All right, so he takes down, and I seen you do this. Was that Headley giving you the optional start?
I'd say that was Coach Powell and Coach Headley. Just top wasn't my strength.
And
I was better on my feet.
well, you showed the optional start, then you covered. Was that just something you just done out of?
Probably changed my mind.
Okay,
or maybe the coaches changed my mind for me.
I was going to ask you about that because I saw that and I was like, well,
I figured why give it to him? Why not see if I can ride him returning?
And I don't think
I was going to say, am I going to get called for something illegal there?
It should be stalling, Mr. Official. And that's what, in the last period, he didn't come off your hips, hardly none, and there was no stalling called.
Right.
That's something about Kentucky officiating is how much better, and I'm not talking about anybody that
Sure.
come before us, but we've elevated the game so much on stalling, on mechanics and all that I was like, stalling, come on, let's hit them. So we're back to this position. Now, on your breakdowns from this, did you have like a bread and butter? Was it just take what they give you, or how did it go for you?
It would. I think I had a variety of breakdowns I would use. Probably what he'd give me. And here I'm gonna crotch
nice
lift.
lift.
There you go.
That's something you don't see a whole lot in today's wrestling. Is those kind of crotch lift returns. There's a lot more scrambling than what there was back in '97, but stuff like that you don't see a whole lot nowadays.
Typically, what I'm probably trying to do here is
that's your third time this period doing that.
Yeah, I would do that all the time. And in some cases, I'd be able to put a guy on his back that way. But on top there, I suspect what I was doing. Of course, he's kind of gotten out there. But typically, I'd be trying to break him down, just get wrist control and work a way to turn him. But all right.
All right. So on the edge there.
So what's the score now?
It's tied 2-2.
2-2.
And there's short time left, very short time left in the third period.
Try to hit a slide by right there or something.
All right, so out of bounds again. Nice fake on his part.
Go, 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 go.
As the buzzer sounds.
As the buzzer sounds.
You get your 2, and you win by a final score of 4-2.
That's how it was.
As the buzzer sounded. Great match.
It's a relief, having lost the year before. And
absolutely, I can imagine.
Any wrestler who's in the state finals has had to put in work, and it's an emotional thing, you win a state championship.
Absolutely. There you are getting your medal and your bracket. Do you still have your medal by chance?
I do. I don't have it. I'm not wearing it at the moment here in the office, but I think it is somewhere kept safe.
And that's great. You've kept it all these years. Like you said, it means a lot, and that's what I tell. I say in videos is we don't go around all the time wearing our Letterman jackets, our championship rings, our medals. But if somebody asks, like there was one of your colleagues stopped by and just talking wrestling, what and if you ask somebody about it that has been out of school for however long, I think people take a lot of pride in saying, yes, I'm a state champion. I'm not going around bragging to everybody, but being a state champion proved to me what I'm capable of. It proved to me that when it matters, I can pull what I know is the best out. I can pull my best out when it counts, and I think that's why so many people have gravitated to this series and the stories, and just hearing stories like yourself, whoever it may be, whatever year, whatever school, whatever weight, is just can I pull it out when it matters?
That's right. And wrestling if you looking back on the last 20, 30 plus years, wrestling's been so, I don't know if I knew it at the time, but it was so foundational.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed me to do certain things in college. I got to wrestle in college. That kind of training and discipline and so forth. It helped me have reasonable success when I was in the Marine Corps. I mean, just throughout, and so I'm just very blessed that I had the coaches I did and the opportunities I did, and the parents I did to, help me get to those camps and so
Absolutely.
forth.
People just kind of getting into the sport now, and with the rule series that we've done, and now the review series and all that is. Going out, people, and I love talking to people. Don't get me wrong. If time you see me at a meet or wherever, feel free to come up, say hello, say what your favorite video is, how weak you think Dominic Black is, anything like that.
By the way, he wrestled in my driveway one time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he. My dad, I don't know how it was arranged, but I don't know if Dominic was looking for somewhere to get a quick workout. He was passing through town, and somehow through Coach Headley or somebody, it worked out, or Coach Powell. We rolled out a mat in my driveway over here in Lexington, in the neighborhood, right?
That's
is like,
great.
In Chevy Chase, you don't see a bunch of people out
right.
wrestling on a wrestling mat, and I think Dominic came by with several others, and
that is
we rolled around out in the neighborhood in Lexington.
That I have to make sure I send that.
He may not remember that, it was a long time ago, but he might.
He probably, whenever we done his review video, actually done it, I think at his mother-in-law's house here in Lexington. I mean, buddy, the international matches he could remember, the college matches, high school matches. So he probably does. But the having, whether it's parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, whoever it is that is in charge of their care, or whoever it may be, however the situation works, of a youngster, multiple youngsters, taking them to practice, picking them up, taking them to meets, camps, whatever it is, it truly is an investment. And the seeing, like, I've done a video about wrestling moms, make the jokes about wrestling moms and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, when you put that much time in, you put that much money, that much travel in to taking kids here, there, wherever. I mean, when that final buzzer sounded, I mean, you may have won it, but you have to say that, mom and dad, whoever it was that helped you, coaches, they need to get their hand raised too.
They deserve all the credit, really. There was a Greek historian named Thucydides, and I'm paraphrasing, but he has this quote in his writing. He says something like, as men are much the same, he is superior who is reared in the severest of schools. And so in other words, when those parents, those coaches, those friends, and the wrestlers themselves, all that training, all that practice, and wrestling is, as we know, is one of, if not the most challenging sports for young people. And so it really can lead to just a superior toughness, superior mindset throughout the rest of one's life. And it really is quite the investment. So I'd encourage any young person to try wrestling. It's also the sport, as we know, where you can take someone who does not, unlike basketball, say, you can take somebody who's not sort of the most gifted genetically, and with the proper training and coaching and discipline, they can become a champion.
And I couldn't tell you over the series that the number of people that said, they just weren't built for football. They just weren't built for basketball, baseball. They tried track and field, and finally, like you said, somebody just happened to introduce them to wrestling one day. And next thing you know, they're on top of the podium 2 or 3 times, or one time go on to college, whatever it is. So just because you may not, and this, again, no knock on any other sport, but I mean, we all can't be 7'5". We all can't be 350-pound offensive linemen. I mean, if you've tried other sports and it just doesn't suit you, try wrestling. Try going out, practice, maybe go to a camp or something like that, and just try it out, and you just never know where it can take you.
And I just looking back on life, it's such good training for the rest of your life, because later on you'll be challenged, right? Can I operate when I'm tired? Mm-hmm. More than any other sport, wrestling will teach you to do that. can I operate and can I take care of others around me when I'm hungry?
Yeah.
Wrestling teaches you to do that. When I'm cold, sometimes you got to go out. Sometimes you got a couple pounds to lose. There's nowhere to go. You got to go out and run in the cold. We've had to do that. We went and wrestled in college. We went and wrestled. We had like a tri-meet, Columbia, and I think it was Wagner or somebody. And we were in New York City. It was a really nice trip. Stayed in Manhattan for this meet. You know, had a pound or two to lose before weigh-ins. There was nowhere to, you know, in Manhattan is little hotel room. There's nowhere to really work out. So we went. It was cold, but we went. We were hungry and cold. You know, got our stuff and went running to lose a pound or two out. I think we were running out in Times Square and so forth. And so, can I operate in the cold? Can I score points like in a dual meet? Can I do what I need to do for my team individually in a dual meet? Say you're the last match of a duel and you need those extra few points to help your team win. It teaches you so many lessons, and you know, I'm just so thankful I got the opportunity to wrestle, and I give all the credit to my coaches and my family and my teammates. I give a shout out to my brother too, because you know he's we pushed each other through some things.
I guarantee it, and we're going to be probably going to be doing your brothers through Zoom, I believe. So kind of go back and circle back to something. You mentioned it, but kind of just give us the highlights. You wrestled in college. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was very fortunate that I was able to wrestle at Davidson College. It was Division I, but Davidson's kind of unique because you know every sport except for football at Davidson College is Division I, but the college itself only has about 1,800 people in it, you know, students. And so we were at the time what was called, and I guess still is called, the Southern Conference with Appalachian State, VMI, the Citadel, UNC Greensboro, schools like that. And so we'd go up and down the East Coast wrestling. There was a conference tournament every year. I think the best I was able to obtain and was third place in the conference. I think it was
pretty good.
Sophomore, junior year. So unfortunately, never made it to NCAA tournament because I think in those days in that conference, because it was a smaller kind of mid-major conference, I think you had to win the conference to go.
Probably,
you know, go to
that sounds about
to go to the big tournament. But wrestling in college was, you know, it was a bit like a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was a lot of discipline. But made some great friends, learned a lot. Also allows you to, you know, have the opportunity for the discipline to stay in shape and not, you know, sit on the couch and drink beer for 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And it was just, you know, just an excellent opportunity. And so, and Davidson's a great place, and they've somewhat recently in the last few years, Nate Carr Jr. has become the head coach at Davidson College Wrestling, and he's doing fantastic things with that program. So, man,
that's great. That's a great Kentucky tie-in. Of course, everybody knows the Carr family in Kentucky with Nate. And, of course, I think, you know, David coming off his NCAA championship, he come up a little bit short this year in the Olympic trials, but I believe in 28 out in Los Angeles, if he makes it, I'm going to go watch him because that's just – he's on the channel for his 2014 review video, two-time – like I said, NCAA champion. If he makes it, I have to get out there just to watch him compete because that would be, talk about coming full circle, man. So we've covered, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, closing statements here. We've presented the evidence. But, man, it's great to get with you. We've been talking back and forth for, feels like a couple years. I posted those photos for your birthday the other day. And I didn't want to post a video. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a tease. That way, you know that I had it. So before we wrap this one up and put a bow on it, anything you'd like to say, add, take away, anything like that?
Well, I just again want to give credit to my coaches, my teammates, and my family, and just would encourage anybody that's watching just to support wrestling, support the sport, and if you've got a young person who's interested in giving it a go, there's no better sport out there, and no better preparation for life.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. So, guys, that's all we have. 1997, 112 pounds. Mr. Carman here. I'm trying to. There's two windows looking out, guys, and I'm trying to get the bearings of Lexington here, but it's a beautiful, beautiful view out in the law office here, the Dan Carman law office. Of glad to have me down. So, guys, that's all that we have. Thank you all for watching. We will see you guys, and now we get to say girls because we have girls wrestling.
Right.
We will see you guys and girls on the mats.